back to my channel. In this video we're going to be learning about functions, so yeah, let's dive right in. So here I have this basic code here. This line, add. So to define a function, as you can see, you use a def and then place your function name right afterwards. Oops. And then add these parentheses, which we are going to use later, and a colon, and make sure you get this indent. Now you can add any type of code inside this indentation. So inside this function you can add any code, and then when you call that function, that code will run. So by calling, I mean just writing the function's name and then parentheses. That means it'll call the function and go back to the function and then run whatever's in there. So if I run this, it prints 11 because once I called add, it went back to the function add, and then it ran whatever's inside it, print 11. If I didn't have this, so let me just comment that out, then it would print nothing because nothing's calling this add function. So to be able to use a function, you have to make sure to call it. And yeah, you can also do something with the function with the parameters. So parameters are whatever you put inside this parentheses. So let's say number 1, number 2. So now we can use number 1 and number 2 as variables in our function. So let's say print number 1 plus number 2. This should take the number 1 and number 2 and just add them together and print it. Yeah, so the way you can use these parameters are in the parentheses. When you're calling the function, you have to add definitions for these variables. So if let's say I put 5 and 6 here with comma separating them, just like I did in the definition, this will essentially define number 1 in this function as 5, and number 2 as 6. So what it's doing is it's just taking this number 1 and then replacing it with the variable here. So it's just like a variable. So it's just going to add 5 and 6, and it should return 11. Let's see. And yeah, we got our expected output. So that's the basics about functions. So now let me go a little bit deeper. We can add default parameters. So for example, if I put nothing in this, if I just put add and I set parameters here, then it will throw an error because it's expecting for the user to input these two parameters when it's calling the function, when you're calling the function. So to kind of avoid that, and add like a kind of a default parameter, then you can put this equal sign next to the parameter you want to change or make default. 1 second. Oops. And you can just add a value, like let's say 5 and number 2 is equal to 6. So now let me run it. So now it returns 11. So what it's doing now is, since the user didn't put anything in the parameters and didn't specify what they wanted, it takes the default value, which is 5, and replaces it with number 1, 5, and then the default value for number 2, which is 6, and then replaces it for number 2. So it still returns 11. But if I added, let's say, 8 and 9, now it's going to return 17 because what I inputted overrides what I put here, the default function, sorry, the default parameter. so it just uses this. And yeah, that's mostly about functions. Thanks for watching the video. If you learned something, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps out a ton. Yeah, thanks for watching.